Tejo's gonna tell me how to tighten this belt. We don't have the tools right now, but he's gonna walk me through what to do.
You know, when I first got this bike, the first thing that I did was, of course, cut the wire, right? You know, as soon as after I cut the wire, I look at the belt and it's got too much slack in it. Actually, you can feel it from here. You actually stick your finger in here and just push it between, you know, the sprocket in the middle of the belt. You can pretty much feel the looseness of the belt. I can pretty much, you know, move this thing up and down. So it's really easy to tighten this belt. Okay, so what you need to do, you gotta loosen this one. This bolt. This is actually what keeps the motor to go forward or backwards. That's that way you'll be able to adjust the belt if you want to go tighter.
Okay.
So since it's loose, this motor has to go forward.
Okay.
So to be able to do that, you have to loosen this, and there's another one here in the back. And this. If you can actually notice, you see there's a slot there.
Yep.
So the motor can actually go back and forth. So after you loose that, there's a 10mm nut underneath here.
Okay.
There's like 2 nuts in there. It's a lock nut. So you just have to loosen that, and then the nut itself, for you to make the adjustment, it's either you tighten it or you loosen it.
Okay.
So you can pretty much see the motor, you know, moving. Just loosen this and loosen the same bolt here on the back, and then a 10mm, a small 10mm, you can
Just tighten it.
and then you can see, you know, as soon as you tighten, just you know, feel if the belt is already tight. So most of the people that I actually bought this bike, some of the people that I actually saw when I bought this bike, the first thing I did was check the belt. Most of their belts are loose.
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone that received this bike
With a tight belt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tight.
Thank you, Tejo. We're gonna do that when we get home later. All right. Thank you. So we're gonna be doing a quick video here. We're just gonna be tightening our belt. Basically, we're gonna loosen this screw and the screw on the other side, same one. And then right under here, these screws right here, we're gonna loosen the first one, and then we're gonna tighten the second one until the chain gets a little bit more tension. Sorry, not the chain, the belt. Right here. It's a little loose. The tools that you'll need is a 5mm Allen wrench to loosen the motor bolts, 10mm wrench to loosen the bolts, and then I don't know the size of this, but this is just to help take off the bash guard. Shout out to Ebike Maryland for teaching me how to do this, and thanks to Talaria for providing this foam that I could lay on. So one thing to note is that this is really hard to access to loosen, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off the bash guard and see if that makes it a little bit easier. Looks like there's 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. This bolt and the one on the other side, they were super tight. It took me a lot of strength to get them off, but I took off the bash guard so I could get a better look. And if you can see, the belt has a lot of play. So basically what we're trying to do is move the whole thing forward by, we're gonna tighten this screw. You have to loosen the first one so you can play with this screw, and we're gonna tighten this one basically to move the whole thing forward. So let's see how tight it gets. So I'm holding this in place because it's basically just held on by this little washer and trying to tighten. This is a 10mm, by the way, and it's tightening pretty easily because I loosened this side. Okay, so just by doing those few cranks, it's so much more tighter now. I hope it's not too tight. Feels pretty good. So now we're just going to close everything back up and try it out and make sure it feels good.